of the language that poured from the fundamentalist pulpits on the subject of what was called the higher criticism, not much more need be said than that it made a mockery of that noble inscription above the portals of some of our churches. Here stands a school of exercise in faith, hope, and charity. Those Unitarian and modernist critics were vile heretics not to be touched with a pair of tongs. They were Cain slaying his brother Abel. They were the sons of Belial, the false priests of Baal, whom Elijah, quite properly too, put to the sword at the brook of Kishon. They were symbolically likened to the men of Sodom and Gomorrah, for whose sins those cities were destroyed. Yes, they were not infrequently placed in the company of the sinister Judas Iscariot who betrayed his Lord. The noblest spirits of the age, Renan, Strauss, Kuenen, Van Manen, Scholten, were covered with invective and epithets unmentionable. Every little candidatus theologiae on the fundamentalist side crowed like a riled rooster going to battle with a rival cock when he heard the word modernist mentioned. It was easily seen and felt that the brethren were frightened out of their wits, and that some lay awake nights trembling, lest some scholar in a far-off study demolish one more little verse in their quasi-infallible book. It is not to be inferred that scientific criticism of the sacred scriptures of Jews and Christians had its inception in our time in Holland. The traditional stories of the life of Jesus, as recounted in the 4 New Testament evangels or gospels, had seldom, since the Middle Ages, been free from attack and ridicule on the part of scholars and skeptics. Charles Guignebert cites the case of one Lorenzo Valla, an Italian humanist of the 15th century, who declared that his studies had convinced him that the gospel story was full of holes, contradictions, unlikelihoods, and obviously forged insertions. Before Hume, such English writers on theological questions as Cherbury, Locke, Toland, Collins, and Tyndall questioned the historical authenticity of the evangelical accounts. French philosophers, among them Voltaire and Holbach, noted the contradictions and improbabilities in the different Gospels concerning the birth, death, and resurrection of Jesus. These men, however, were not primarily concerned with extracting the historical truth from the